All right. Well, welcome today to the MBA Secrets podcast. We're very lucky to have Jason Kleinman here with us today. Jason, I'll give a little background based on what I know from LinkedIn, and then you'll know that far better than I will. So we'll pass it over to you after that. But
No problem.
you've got an undergrad in finance, postgraduate in accounting, both from the University of Cape Town there in South Africa. And then it looks like your professional background has some accounting, investment banking, that kind of thing. And so I won't waste anybody's time here. I'll just pass it right on to you. Thank you again for being here, and we'd love to hear more of that background.
So Ryan, I appreciate, and it's a great thing that you're doing with the podcast, and thanks for having me here. You just got to stop me with the South African accent if if nothing comes across clearly.
Oh, it's clear. It's clear.
I'll do my best. So I started after school. Maybe starting before school. So before school, I think I was identified as a kid that had learning difficulties and also OT problems. So this is for anyone out there looking for some inspiration. Anyone can do an MBA or done what I've done. There's far smarter people in the world than me. And through a bit of, I think, my parents spent a lot of time understanding what my skills were, and turned out that I like numbers, and I understood the basics of economics and how it affected the price of my toys at a young age. So my mother used to say, "This is an 8-year-old kid trying to predict the exchange rate from toys that are being imported into South Africa," which was quite funny. But after school, I was left with a decision: what does one do? You're pretty naive. I think maybe some people less than others, but I think I was naive. And I said, okay, I want to be a chartered accountant. My dad's a chartered accountant. My parents are both in business, and they've been an inspiration. And actually, I started with an unfair start in life because we talked about business around the table, and my parents educated my sister, Kirsty, and myself. And we were very lucky from that perspective. I think then, leading on, I studied what we call business science at the University of Cape Town, which is finance honors. Fantastic university. I was privileged to go there. And then did a postgraduate degree, which is kind of like a master's in accounting, and you have to do it to be a CA. Then I went to KPMG, and I think everyone goes on these journeys throughout their career, and you get to try certain things. And certainly, auditing financial services was not for me. And I didn't like it, and I struggled sometimes waking up for work, I think, on certain days. And I knew from there I wanted to be investment banking. So I went for a bunch of job interviews, and lucky enough, I met one of my mentors. And I think it's important to have mentors in your career. And I mean, it's one of the two, excluding my parents, was a guy named Francois Otto. And Francois, said, "Come along and you enjoy investment banking." And I went to work in investment banking for him. It was just what we'll call in the small to mid cap space in South Africa. And it was an enjoyable couple of years, and I learned a lot. And on that journey, I met my previous boss, and it was just me taking a deal to him. It was, essentially, which is Westbrook. So Westbrook has a special opportunities fund, and they owned about circa 20% of a company that specialized in alarm systems and managed the radio frequencies. And it was a very good company. And I took this deal to him, and I think Jared kind of liked. So Jared Wine is my other so another shout out to Jared, who's another mentor. And then Jared said, he after a couple of years, and we kept on talking back and forth, he said, come work for me, come to the buy side, the dark side.
Right.
So and investing, and I loved it. I must say, it was fantastic. You intellectually stimulated every day, much like investment banking. You get to, as a generalist, you get to see a lot. You're not really an expert in anything. but you get to see a lot and learn a lot. And it was a great career building experience, and I was privileged to be in that position. And um, yeah, and that's where I finished off. And I'm lucky to have good mentors that supported me throughout my career, and my parents included in that. And it's put me in a strong position going forward.
I love it. Um, I like what you said there about, you're stimulated every day. I think that's kind of a strong appeal for an MBA in general. That kind of gives you a broader education and understanding so that you can go and do something that isn't so monotonous. It's the same thing every single day, but you've got this new skill set to where you can now apply it in so many different ways.
Yeah, and I think MBA it's a real good add-on.
Right.
Specifically if you want to hone in a set of skills, and I think also learn from people from diverse backgrounds. And
Right.
I mean, we'll get to that. So I'll
Sure.
let you lead on
Yeah.
that.
No, that's perfect. So I also saw on your profile there that you began your MBA career at HEC Paris. Is that right?
Yeah.
And now
So
you're at NYU. So let's run through that. How did
yeah,
that work out?
so it's quite interesting. So I guess this leads into the part why I'm doing an MBA, and
Right.
it's for two things. I think I was in the industry. You're pretty homogenous. People think the same, they do the same thing, and specifically in South Africa, South Africans are pretty Anglo-Saxon. They're like the British. We
Right.
like to queue. Certain things we do do like the British, and so I wanted to obviously expand my horizons and institutionalize myself. So I think what was important is my wife actually got a job. She got a job offer at Estee Lauder, and Alice. So that's my wife's name. You know, she had to take the job. I mean, it was a brilliant offer,
Right.
and so she moved to Paris. And I said, now, what is the best? I want to have the best experience, but how can I have it? So HEC, sorry, if
Right.
I've
Right.
Frenchified it. It's like conditioned. It's really conditioned into me. So the HEC has what we call a joint degree or dual MBA. So you apply to HEC and you apply to NYU, and you get into both schools.
Gotcha.
And then you spend the core at one or vice versa. And I mean, it's fantastic, and it's getting experience different things. I mean, so leading on, HEC is very the program is quite robust in terms of the cultural effect. I mean, there was a guy in my class that spoke 9 languages. I can barely speak English. This guy's speaking 9 languages. So
Wow.
which is crazy because
It is.
he's coming out of French into Italian, and speaking to my wife and myself. And there's, I mean, some brilliant people. So it's quite diverse, and you also from diverse backgrounds. And obviously, you're just outside Paris. Paris is one of the most magnificent cities in the world. And then you come to NYU, which is, I mean, from my perspective and my experience, very finance. If you want to go into investment banking, it's an excellent school.
Okay.
Anything with finance. I mean, the courses, the professors are world class. I've not had, I mean, every professor has made an impact on me, and I've been really lucky. And just the level of detail, the fact that they want to build relationships with the students, I think it's an exceptional institution, and very lucky to go there. And I mean, there's some great courses, and I mean, I can go into like a couple, like obviously the valuations course in corporate finance by the finance department. Any professor you have taking that course for you is going to be phenomenal. I mean, I've done finance for a lot of my life, and I mean, there's just some concepts which they picked up, and I was like, I didn't think like
right.
that.
Right.
And then you got some great courses in modeling, so which is Professor Goad takes modeling, and then also in accounting, Professor Yu. Some really great professors, so really lucky. And then on the practical side, there was a course that took global value investing, which is taken by Professor Rosenwald. I mean, he makes you think from a practical perspective. How would you, just the everyday person, apply his set of what he calls mantras?
Right.
And you apply those, and you look at an investment, and he says in the course, I guarantee you'll make money. So I don't know if anyone
Well, that's nice.
else has gone back to him after that.
Wow. So that's very, very valuable information. Just that concept of professors. I think that should play a big role in the program that we choose, right? Who are the people that we're going to be learning from? Because they're the ones that are going to be helping shape our minds and mold our thought processes. And so I think people listening to this who have an interest in NYU are going to really love and appreciate that. So thank you so much for that insight.
Yeah, it's as I said. I mean, just fantastic. And maybe I didn't get onto it. I think it's experiencing. I got to experience the Europe part of
Right.
European culture, and I think which is very different to American culture.
It is, yeah.
And I think if you want to have a program, you can. I mean, anyone can do what I'm doing. That encompasses the best of both worlds.
Right.
It's a really good choice. Both schools are fantastic.
So for those listening, if you can't decide whether to go to Europe or stay here in the U.S., you don't have to choose, right? Just follow Jason's path. That's awesome. That's truly is the best of both worlds. That's amazing. I also spent some time in Europe, and just that. I mean, if nothing else, getting that cultural exposure is worth the trip, But you're also at this amazing school that's HEC Paris is just recently ranked number 2 in the world. So fantastic school.
Yeah, the Economist, yes, it's ranked.
Right.
And I've also had some really good professors there that have made an impact on me. So like Professor Rousseau is excellent in the finance department. There's some really, really good guys. And I think it's the reason why probably the professors have made more of an impact on me in NYU is the fact that I'm doing electives there.
Gotcha.
So it's not, it's more specialized, more technical.
Not the core.
So that's so it's not the core.
Right.
So that's like to be honest. So I haven't experienced the elective side. So when you experience the elective side, the classes are slightly smaller.
Right.
And it's more tailored, and
it's what you're interested in. Exactly. Correct. So that's something that I've heard both been my experience interviewing people here at BYU, yourself, many others. That first semester or year is all focused on the core, right? Your finance, accounting, HR, these kinds of classes that everybody has to take, and they're very valuable. They're great. But I have also heard that it's also very, it's tough to get through. It's kind of, you got to push through that. It is tedious. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
But then you get into this part where you're at this stage of electives where you get to do exactly what you want, learn the concepts and principles that you are interested in, right?
Yeah, I would be lying to you to say that there wasn't times when I thought during the beginning couple of months, what Jason, what the hell are you doing?
Absolutely.
But it's a journey, and I think honestly you have to walk it.
Yeah.
And then you understand this is why I'm here. And the more you progress, the more you learn. You understand. Unfortunately, the core's there to bring everyone up to speed onto an even par. You can't have otherwise it's if you're running a race, it's basically you at the finish line and your rest of your colleagues are just starting the race. There's no value add in that. Your colleagues can't push you.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. So exactly. So just levels the playing field.
Love it. That's a great way to put it. And I think if we look at it with that perspective, we understand it. And when it gets hard, we can tell ourselves, okay, this is worth it. I just need to push through.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Okay. Well, if you've heard any of the previous interviews, you know that these next 2 questions are ones that I definitely like to get everybody's opinion on, because they're 2 things that everybody's going to experience no matter what. And that is the application, and then once you're actually in the program. And you've talked a lot about in the program, but let's go back real quick to your application. And then once you're actually in the program, and you've talked a lot about in the program, but let's go back real quick to your application. And then once you're actually in the program. And you've talked a lot about in the program, but let's go back real quick to your application. And then once you're actually in the program. the GMAT, interviews, all of those things. What is something or a few things, whatever you'd like, that you wish you would have known before you were accepted and you were applying to these schools?
I mean, that's a very good question. And
That's great.
hindsight is throw the usual quote at you. Hindsight is an exact science. And
Mm-hmm.
when I look back, I guess it was understanding the culture more than anything.
Mm.
Uh, understand the market that you're applying to. Because if you go to school, it's likely if you go to European school, you're going to be based in Europe. I mean,
Right.
unless you're lucky enough to have, like yourself, have an American passport where you can go back.
Right.
So one needs to understand that market, and I think understand it thoroughly. What are they looking for? Where in Europe they're more precise, i.e., this was your background. Okay, you can go into XYZ. Oh, your background was in a hedge fund, in a special ops hedge fund. Okay, this is where you're probably going to stay afterwards, and unless you go to multinational, maybe investment banking program, if you want to go back on the buy, on the sell side. The States, I find it's more broader.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I wish if I could understand that culture and the job market a little bit more. I think that's one thing. And I think it's also understanding the careers department. The careers departments are very important. You want to understand this is if you're targeting an industry, how many guys went there, who was
Right.
it, and I think you need to be speaking to them.
Absolutely.
I think that's very important, and I can tell you NYU careers are incredible, and the HEC, they're good too, but they're good at certain things what the school's known for. So whether it's investment banking or whether it's multinationals, I think it's important. And so I think that if I had to start from the beginning, that would probably be one of the questions, and that's important. Someone should be asking those questions to alumni, especially to alumni. They'll always give you an honest answer.
Yes, that's true, and that's what I loved about them. Right? They're done. They don't have anything to gain or lose from telling you exactly what they experienced, and so they're the perfect people to talk to. I love it. Okay, so the second part of that is you're in these programs now. There's clubs, there's different electives like you were talking about. What's a piece of advice that you would give to somebody in any program throughout the world to maximize their experience in the MBA program?
So, funnily enough, a lot of work, if you don't have a background in something, a lot of work, let's say I'm going to give investment banking, so I've noted, but so stick with what you know, investment banking. A lot of the banks, before you even start your MBA, let's call it pre-MBA, and there's maybe 6 months you haven't started your MBA. Some people go traveling, but there are actual programs, pre-MBA programs. There are talks, and I think that's something that work. If you want to get into investment banking and you want to change your route, that's something that's often overlooked.
Right.
And there's a lot of these companies out there that do this. And in fact, when you fill out your job application, from what I know, is they'll ask, have you attended any of our programs? And obviously, if you've attended this and they have you on the list, that's well, this guy's very serious.
Right.
So
that's a great point.
So you're in good stead from the get go of your application. So I think that's you're looking to set yourself apart, to distinguish yourself from the pack.
Right.
I think that's a very important element to it.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you so much for that. Well, with that, I think I don't want to take too much of your time here, but I did want to make one highlight here of something that you said that from our conversation that I love, and that's the concept of mentors. The value that a mentor has, or multiple mentors, is, well, it's invaluable to say the least. Whether it's your parents, like you were saying, or if you have an interest, just go on LinkedIn. If you don't know anybody that does that thing, go find them. That people want to talk to you. People love to hear from people who are interested in something they're interested in. It's just how we are as humans. And that goes throughout life. When you're in your MBA program, use the professors as mentors, the ones that are teaching the classes that you are interested in. Talk to them, get to know them, alumni, just all those things that you were saying. I really appreciated that, and that resonated with me a lot. So thank you again for that. And if you have any final thoughts, we'd love to hear them.
So
Take it away.
yeah, I mean, for final thoughts would be, just remember, when you're reading a lot of people's resumes and CVs, it can be quite intimidating.
Right.
It can be quite intimidating.
Right.
But focus on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do the best you can possibly do. Most importantly, and I'll quote the famous economist Alfred Marshall: in life, in order to be successful, I mean, he referred to economists, but for people to be successful in life, they need first a good heart, and then a cool head. And there are times when you're faced with pressure, and it can be quite hard, but you just keep on going and keep on fighting and rolling with the punches. You'll get there, and you'll see. Eventually, you'll be at the top of the mountain, looking down and just enjoying the journey. And that's the most important thing that I can. Well, I hope people can take away.
I guarantee they'll take that away. Those are some wise words. That's wonderful. There's nothing that I could add to make this any better. So, Jason, with that, thank you so much for your time, and have a great day.
Yeah, thanks very much, Ryan. Have a good one.
You
Cheers.
too. Cheers.
Bye.